Alrighty, how's it going, everybody? We are right at the start of our Journey of Discovery pre-release time frame, and we have the entire set out. And this time, I am not doing this review alone. I have my good friend Travis Rudros Pfeiffer with me. Travis, how are you doing today?
Mr. Ghoul, I'm so pleased to be back looking over FF cards. Even though I may no longer actively play the game, I've still kept up with it, and I do enjoy seeing all the new stuff that comes out. And who doesn't enjoy speculating over cardboard? I'd always find this part of a set to be just so enjoyable.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely it's so full of possibilities, and every
Right?
card
Yeah,
and every
exactly.
deck, everything is viable until it isn't, right?
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. Possibilities. That's the word, because you never truly know, and then you get to find out later, and then you know.
It's a honestly, I will say I'm pretty excited, not just because this is the world set, but I mean, there's a lot of really neat and cool cards here, and I say it pretty often, but like the meta in the game is, I think, in a very healthy spot. There's a lot of decks that all feel viable. I think
Mhm.
almost every mono element actually has a reason to be played right now, and then you have kind of four color soup decks still around, a couple two color decks, control is viable, aggro is viable, mid range is viable. Like I think there's definitely like some quibbles that people have with the game. I think there's some understandable ones, but like you can't really argue with the way the game is right now. I think like it's a very
Mhm.
enjoyable game to play at least. So, um, anyways, we're gonna start off with we're gonna go in color combination. I've got the IGN slideshow because it's like literally the easiest way of doing this. But one little side bonus is we actually get to do the uh, legacy full arts, and there's three of these in every set. It's always kind of fun to look at these. So we have this set. We have Regis from Opus 12. We have Neo X Death from Opus 21, and we have Ace from Opus 22. Honestly, three really playable cards, which is great. Every now and
Yeah.
then they'll kind of whiff on one of these or something, and they'll have one that just like doesn't see a lot of play. These are three really playable cards. I have one minor quibble, which is that I really don't know that I want Regis staying in the game. Uh, for better or worse, this is one of those cards that like if you see it, you know your opponent's up to something heinous, and
Right.
like it's like Regis and Renault are the two cards. If I see them like at any point in my opponent's hand, I'm going, uh oh, something's not right. I guess
It's like,
like
come on, what are we doing here?
it's like that, and then I guess like maybe six cost Larsa is the only other like canary in the coal mine card that I know of. It's like if you see that, you're like, okay,
Hmm.
my opponent's playing Poker Leo, and I'm in a
Yeah.
the game has completely changed its dynamic. But yeah, if they're going to leave it legal, though, they have to reprint it. This card got very expensive out of nowhere. Neo X Death obviously is a fantastic board wipe, lovely a mono art. My favorite thing about the Legacy reprints is that they can do a mono cards like this because they don't print a mono cards in full art ever, which is like,
Yeah. You look
uh,
so good.
and like this card looks so sick. And then Ace, obviously, um, limit breaks are a thing forever. This is one of the best ones. It's completely defined multiple decks. Some of which we might even talk about over the course of these little videos, and why
Yeah.
this card is so important. So happy to see all these. I think this is three total bangers for the legacies. Usually you'll have one that you're like, well, they wanted to get the art for this one in full art, but like the card doesn't need the reprint. This was three cards that
Yeah.
are like
Yep.
definitely all of them should be in these slots. So let's get started on fire, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Up first, we have Oren. This is a backup Job Guardian, category DFF and 10. And you can tap and sack him to give a blocking forward 7,000 power until the end of the turn. Pretty straightforward, I
Yeah.
think. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say with this one. As the person who spoiled the premiere Orin backup, with my Opus 22 spoiler, he doesn't come close to that. But yeah, it's fine. If anyone remembers any of my feelings on this game, like I love backups. I want to have a full set of backups. So this kind of effect is not really my taste, but it's a combat trick. And then if you do need to clear space for something else, it's fine. But outside of a specific home, it does what it does. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, like, it still is searchable. I think that, like, the four color FF10 decks are, like, really cool and, like, really potentially good. And, like, you do need a fire backup, and you're probably going to play an Orin. I'm like you. I like the back attack one in part because I think back attack on a
Yeah.
backup is, like, the most broken thing you can possibly have. It's like being able to steal the turn one or, a turn zero by, like,
Hmm.
back attacking the backup and then playing an odd thing on curve is so strong. And like blocking forwards, like why are you blocking? Just take the damage.
Yeah,
uh, I will say though, and this is kind of the only thing that gives me a minor bit of pause. It's not technically a bad effect, and 7,000 is a lot of power.
it is. It
That is
really
like one of the
is.
largest single card bumps you can get. But it's like one time, one blocking forward. I think it'll be okay in limited where like blocking and combat matter a little bit more. But I really
Yeah,
think if you're gonna
absolutely.
play like any kind of constructed, you're gonna play the back attack Horde instead. All right, we have our first hero. Let's go jump to the full art for this. And this is
Very
Ifrit.
nice.
It's a one cost EX. If you cast it, you can remove an Ifrit and you break some additional cost. Choose a forward, deal it 5,000. If you paid the extra cost, deal it 8,000 instead. Uh,
And this is a chain of summons, right? Every summon essentially has this, hey, if you have the card summon, you can remove the cost for an extra
oh no no
effect.
no! This is all the summons
Oh, it
are.
isn't.
It's just a cycle of
Oh,
hero
okay.
summons. They all do different things.
Oh, I must have misread one of them earlier. Okay, my mistake then.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's. I mean, obviously, this is just solid. It competes with Brynhildr for sure as kind of like the EX
Yeah,
5K real estate. I do really like how it scales up, and like especially in Mono Fire, you're always playing the other one cost Ifrit as well that does 5K and then can be like, doubled up to 10K if you have 5 fire characters. Like this just plays so nicely with that. Um, I don't know if there's a lot of other super playable Ifrits. Is maybe my only other hangup. There's like the Opus 14 one with like Garnet on it that's like 4 CP, but you can remove a backup to like reduce its cost by 2. That does
yeah,
9K. There's just hasn't historically been a big payoff for like Ifrit tribal as summons. The only other like small qualm I have is you can't do 8K as a burst ever, which is a little bit annoying.
yeah. That's true. If you pay, oh yeah, because it requires you to when you cast it. Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, you can't just say like, okay, on the burst, I'm going to remove this Ifrit and do the extra damage, which is I sort of get it, but like I almost wonder if they would have let you like instead of being a casting cost remove the Ifrit, like you may remove an Ifrit if you do an additional 3
Yeah,
would be like slightly better. Probably wouldn't break the card or anything, but I think this card is really good. I think it's going to see a lot of play.
yeah, seems solid.
Pretty hard to go wrong with the one cost summon that does 5K,
Exactly.
honestly.
Yeah.
We have Viper. This is our first of our Final Fantasy 14 standard units. This is part of a cycle. Pretty simple card actually. If it enters the field, choose a forward, deal it 3K. If you have a multi-element forward, deal it 7K instead. So this is a cycle. Every single element has one standard unit forward that cares about having a multi-element forward in play. Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, there's been cycles of these throughout the years, right? And they're usually geared towards limited play because that's where it's most common that you're going to get off those multi elements. They've never been very personally exciting to me, other than the fact that it's our first time seeing Viper in the game, I believe. So cool.
Yeah, I like this one better than I'll say most of the rest of the cycle, but also just kind of in general. Like 3 CP to do 7K is really like a pretty okay rate. The biggest
Yeah,
thing is just like the condition of like having a multi-element forward. I don't know if there's any like it's kind of meant to pair with the fact there's a bunch of multi-element LBs this set, but like none of the multi-element LBs really feel like something that would go down before them. But like again, standard unit is just like there's just enough standard unit support, and I kind of like this better than I like a lot of the other ones. There's the bar for playable standard unit forwards is not very high. They're really
yeah,
bad across the board. So just for that, minor maybe, but I think in general, yeah, you can definitely do better. Ace. This is a 6 cost backup class 0 cadet from type 0. When it enters the field, you choose a forward, you do it in 9,000. And then for 1 and sack it, you choose a forward and deal it 5,000. Don't think we need to dwell on this one too much. It's basically meant for just limited.
yeah. That's a lot. And Lord knows if you're playing a Cadet Zero deck, like there's Ace is like the key card, so you can't afford to put this in your backup line.
Yeah, like I said, the weirdest thing to me on this is just the background on it. This like weird red background. I kind of want to see it in foil just to see what that comes with, but I hope the foil
Yeah,
shows up in someone else's pre-release kit and not mine. It's gonna be great. I mean, it's gonna be necessary and limited. They have to like every time these come up, minor, tiny thing, but like these cards come up, people go, "Oh, this is so bad. Why'd they make it so bad?" It's like, well, they don't necessarily want all the cards to be good, and they need for limited. You need to have your overcosted removal to make sure that if your opponent opens the legend with 9,000 power, there's a card at common
Right.
that can kill it. Like you have to have these
Yeah.
cards in to make limited function, and it does its job for there well enough, despite not being a good card.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, my only critique is like they probably could have kept the one CP off of the dull cost. Like it could have. You're already paying 6 for this guy. I think you could have just dulled and broke him to
probably,
ping for 5.
yeah, or like do another 9K or something on it. Like yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of card that might not be a limited fodder card, we do have Guy. This is a category DFF and 2. He's a warrior and a rebel. Get used to seeing the word warrior. There's a lot of them in this set.
Yeah.
As Guy enters the field, you can play a forward of cost 2 or less from your hand onto the field, and at the end of each of your turns, if you control 4 or more forwards, you draw a card. I will say I'm
Yeah. I don't.
kind of glad that Yuna is gone, just because I feel like this would have just been a staple in Yuna decks. Being
Yeah.
this like card advantage engine that cheats into play 2 costs, it just seems like it would pair really well there. Uh, I'm not really sure what wants this, but it's generic enough and searchable enough that like there's probably something for it, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah, those were my exact thoughts. Is like it has good text, right? It has an entry effect, and then it has a continuous value effect if it sticks around. It's just, yeah, where does this go? I would assume there's better warriors to be playing in the warriors deck. So
yeah, maybe you do have like a lot of Warriors decks are on like the Zidane. Maybe you can go like search this off of Tyvis if you already have the free play you want. You can do that, and
mm,
if you free play like Mog with Tyvis and then cast Guy, and then Guy plays Zidane, and you draw a card with Guy at the end of the turn or something.
yeah,
I could see him as a one of there. I I really want better things than Zidane to cheat into play with this. I mean, like Furion's crazy, obviously, and there is
yeah.
some other cute stuff because he's category 2. There's the Minwoo from a couple sets ago that actually plays a category 2 forward from your break zone of cost less
Oh
than the other
yeah,
backup
yeah,
you control. I don't know if there's a Fire Wind deck or like a 3 or 4 color category 2 deck, but if there is, that seems pretty fun. Do that, cheat into
yeah.
Furion, go to town. But um, only other minor quibble: if you have 4 forwards, I feel like you should be killing your opponent. You don't really need the Lakshmi effect at the draw a card at the end of it. I mean, I'm not going to
Yeah.
complain. Like there's definitely worlds where that's going to come up and it'll draw you your Amaterasu to survive your opponent's board wipe and then win the game. But yeah, it is kind of when you're already ahead, win more. But
Yeah, I would imagine it's like to recuperate the cost of, oh, I go wide, I get 4 on the board like really quick, and then normally I've dumped my hand out to do that. Well, this way I kind of start recouping it. I would imagine that's the design behind it.
yeah. And the final point, Steve D pointed it out, so I have to, or Stevie D pointed out the COD piece on Guy is something special.
Yeah, right.
All right, we have Chaos Advent from Sopfo. Job Warrior for some reason. This should be a knight, by the way. I don't know where they got Warrior on this. Um, if you haven't played this game, by the way, I promise you the game is better than the cards previously have been. This game is so good. Let's talk about the card though. When Chaos Advent is put from the field into the break zone, you choose reveal the top 7 of your deck, play a Sopfo forward onto the field, shuffle the other revealed, put them on the bottom. The forward's element becomes dark and it gains job chaos. So this is like one of the coolest cards they've ever printed. Like it's so cool. Like lore wise, the flavor is so on point. He reincarnates into chaos at the end. This is the first boss in the game. The forward that comes out is dark because that's the actual chaos, and this is a fake one. Like it's so
Yeah,
good. Um, there is some things that kind of give alarm bells. There's no cost restriction on this. If they ever print a 20 cost Sotfo forward,
right.
you can spin into that. And there's a couple of neat things you can actually spin into with this. Now, one of the big problems with this is the first wave of Sotfo support was entirely built around the Dark Jack Garland.
Yeah,
And if you have that in play to search this, and then this spins, it's going to break both the new forward and the Jack Garland, and you're going to be very sad. So you have to have like this like Sotfo deck that doesn't play the old Dark Jack, but is still happy playing enough Sotfo forwards where this hits. And I have no idea what that deck looks like. But it is neat. This can spin into like a Darkness Manifest, which is a really powerful and really annoying card to deal with. So maybe if there is like some 4-color Darkness Manifest deck, you could run a copy or two of this. We'll talk about later. There's a Wind Jack Garland in this set that actually is kind of interesting with this. But yeah, I don't think this is a world beater. I'm just surprised that like some of the guardrails that get put in a card like this just aren't there. He doesn't remove himself from the game. He just goes to the break zone. Like I expected him like remove him from the game, then do the effect, or like a lot of other things, and none of those guardrails are present on this card. It's just like
Yeah.
kind of slow.
Yeah, these are pretty easy for someone like me to evaluate because it essentially comes down to if there's a card worth playing and building around for him to hit, it's going to be good. Otherwise, it's obviously does not going to have any good targets for it.
Yeah. Galul Jaja. You'll have to correct my pronunciation. I have not
Yeah, no, you
played
got it.
Dawn
Galul
Trail.
Jaja.
I haven't played Dawn
This is
Trail.
probably my favorite character from Dawn Trail. I actually really like this character.
He's a king from category 14. It's kind of funny seeing jobs like king and prince and princess. I don't think there's any of those in 14 prior to this.
Right?
8,000 power. When he deals damage to a forward, choose a forward opponent controls. Other than that forward, deal it the same amount of damage. This effect only triggers once each turn. When it enters the field, choose a forward, deal it 7,000 damage. That happens at damage 5. So to me, this one, I'll give them points for trying. Like, it's a neat effect. I just don't know what it's meant to actually do.
Yeah.
Like, are you? There's a couple of like neat things. Like, there's like the ninja that like gives a forward an attack trigger, like to do 5,000 damage, and then like you could do that like twice. But like that doesn't like excite me or make me like go out of my way to play this card. And like, it seems so easy to play around. Like, either you don't attack if it's active, or you don't block if they attack with it. And like, both of those just don't seem like they're that big of a problem for me.
Yeah, it's a shame that its main effect is kind of restricted to damage 5. It kind of gives me shades of the old Lawn Legend from Opus 7. And what was neat about that one is you had to pay for it, but every time he dealt damage to something, he could deal his powers damage to something else, and it would essentially infinitely trigger. Like, as long as you could pay for it. Oh, I hit that. Okay, deal it damage. Oh, I dealt damage to something. Do it to the next one. Oh, I dealt. And so I was hoping he would be like a smaller version of that, but it says right there it's limited to once per turn. Like, it would be cool if it like triggered to hit him. Okay, now that trigger because it hit him. Now that trigger because it hit him. But yeah, it doesn't do that. And man, being restricted to damage 5 for that initial burst, which you obviously want, just yeah.
I almost I wonder if they like flipped it maybe and said like, okay, the on entry play he does the damage, and then at damage 5 is when he gets like he goes berserk and like hits
Yeah,
everything.
maybe. And it
But
would give you a reason, like on damage 5, right, to kind of maybe hold it back a little bit, and then boom, 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 and you get like this kind of like big fire off.
it would play like really nicely with cards like Axstar. Maybe you could play it in like a Warriors package
Mm-hmm.
if that was the case. I don't know. Like again, the design is so neat. I just don't really think that like it plays very well with how Final Fantasy plays, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, or if it said like deals damage to a player, then like also did damage equal to its power to
Right.
something else, then maybe. But yeah, I think as is, I really don't know a deck that wants this card.
Yeah.
Gladiator. So this is a standard unit backup, category 5. Very easy. Tap and sack it to do 2,000 damage to all the forwards opponent controls. Kind of a windish effect. Like, this like reads like a wind card to me in a way. Like,
Right.
a little bit of damage to all the forwards. I don't think this is very good or going to see a lot of play. Like, I could see uses where it's like, if I had this, I'd be happy. It's like, oh yeah, I can like do just
Yeah.
enough. Like, I've got my witch. My witch is going to do like 7k to this, 7k to this, and I'm going to sack the gladiator. And it's going to finish everything off.
Mhm.
But there's just so many other ways of doing that that like don't involve this backup that I don't really see it.
Yeah. I appreciate that it's a cheap effect, but yeah.
Samurai. This is a part of a cycle, so every single element has a one cost backup.
This is
That
what I was thinking of instead of the summons. Yeah, there's a one cost of these that all have like a similar effect.
Yeah. So this one's in Cat 14. So all of them allow you to pay an additional cost of some amount of the element that's two elements away from them. So fire, fire, ice, wind. Ice is ice, wind. The ice one is earth, and so on and so forth. Which is very
Hmm.
weird. It's not like they don't usually it's like the opposite side or the next like color in the color. I
Yeah.
don't think we've ever seen cards that like are care about two away from you on the wheel. So if you cast them, you can pay wind in two, and if you pay the extra cost, you get to break it forward of cost 6 or more. I
Very limited. And I can't imagine you'd even want this as a samurai because where are you going to get the win CP from?
well, I mean, like being totally fair to it as a samurai, one cost backups are not bad inherently. Like, and there are
Yeah,
enough
that's
like
true.
random samurai synergies. Like, there's a, like we have played some really really bad samurai backups in the past that were just 2 cost samurai vanilla backups. This is
Yeah.
arguably an improvement on those. The category 14 has a lot of weird synergies as well. Like, I don't love the text, and like I don't know where on earth you're supposed to actually do that. And like
Yeah.
even in limited, like there's not that many 6 cost forwards you're hitting in limited, but
Yeah,
I
if it was
guess
6 or less, you'd have so many more targets, but 6 or more is very specific.
yeah. I mean, it's doing the wind effect. Like that's the gimmick on them
Yeah.
is that like whatever you pay the extra cost of, you get a like real like the common effect from that element. And in this case, wind is break big things for free. Uh, like the only other positive I will say, and again, I don't know what deck ever plays this. It's really not a bad rate on that effect either. Like if you think about it, like it it kind of creates a summon that like you pay like 1 CP, like a 1 cost win summon that like kills a 6 cost forward. That's not it's not bad. It's just like what's doing this, and I there's nothing that's doing
Right.
it. It's kind of what it
Yeah.
boils down to. But it might see play just as a 1 cost samurai backup ultimately.
Yeah. Very
Uh,
possible.
our first legend. This is Zondi, the Dark Lord from Final Fantasy III. When Zondi enters the field, you name a job. All the forwards with the name job lose their abilities until the end of the turn. At the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, choose a forward opponent controls, deal it 9,000. Draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a card named Zondi, trigger this auto ability again. This was a card of the week at one point. I'm curious what you think on this one.
I mean, I've always been a fan of the continuous start of attack phase effects. I was a big fan of the Opus 15, not Orphan that would like discard. So I just in general I like those effects. I think they're very fair. They give your opponent a chance to respond to them, but also give you continuous value. So obviously, if he can stick around, just zapping something for 9 every turn is going to be very good. The first effect. I mean, I guess it's great if you're going against scions or warriors or some very specific tribal deck, or knights maybe, but I almost wish it had lasted until the end of your opponent's turn. So you get like a full turn cycle with it instead of just, it's so limiting having to do it this very first turn. Even if it's like, I was like, oh, well, okay, you can blank Refia. Well, if she's got her trigger, she can go, well, on the stack before that resolves, I'll just send him packing anyway. So he doesn't get to shoot me. Um, and then Zondi has kind of always had some of these. Hey, if you play more Zondis, you get this boat. Like, other than the other 2 copies of this, I don't know how many Zondis you want to overload just to try to like trigger this a bunch of times. So he's cool, but especially since he's in Amaterasu range, like I really think that first effect should have lasted till the start of the next turn. And even then, I don't know how much of a difference that would or wouldn't have made.
Yeah, I like. I will say one of the things I think is really neat about this is I think one of the weirdest, like best of like backups, like just that's like seen play basically since it was printed is the like little 2 cost Zondi backup that like deals you a damage and then like shoots a forward for
Hmm.
7K. And
Yeah,
something neat is that both of these, despite not technically having a special, play nicely with each other, which I think is really cool
true.
actually. Like credit where credit's due. Like because this one like allows you to like multi-trigger, and if you can get like Zondi pop that, Zondi pop that, like
Yeah.
that's really crazy value. And like you don't even have to feel bad about playing the backup because the backup can then just search out your Zondis from deck. Like I could see you playing like 2 of the backup and 3 of the forward, and just like you kind of play what you draw, and you're kind of like okay with it regardless. Like that's
Hmm.
kind of just neat design. I don't dislike the I don't dislike that. I do kind of wonder if this like does enough to justify like the slots, but like it is like it's perpetual removal at the start of the attack phase, and we because of cards like Refia, we know how good that like once per turn removal every turn can like really matter, and this has even more
Yeah.
upside beyond that. It does suck that like yeah, if your opponent has Ramza or like a Refia, they got you name okay job knight, and they go okay, well in response Ramza, we're just gonna take the Zondi
Yeah.
out.
Exactly.
But like there is other utility to that. The big one is like blanking Yuzuki so that you can actually kill your opponent's
Yeah,
fire
that's
forwards
cool.
is really neat. I don't know. He's got a lot of competition. 9K is a lot more than 8K, which is like one cool thing about him over Cloud. which is probably like his biggest competition. Is like this big
Yeah.
fire, but he doesn't necessarily give you card advantage. Just a bit of filtering. So he's interesting. I don't know how many places I see him, but like I think he's a card that you could consider playing, which is
Mhm.
we have Jacked, who as you know is our next one. This is a Dissidia Category 10 Guardian Warp 2 with Fire 1. When he enters the field, choose one of the two. Choose a forward, deal at 8k, or deal 5k to all the forwards opponent controls. It's not like a super exciting or powerful card. I just want to say that like I love seeing Warp on draft commons.
Yeah.
Like I know that like Warp isn't like a strong mechanic, and like they really need to print better cards with Warp that do better things. It feels like, but like at the end of the day, what's exciting for me here is that like this becomes this like cool modal card in draft and kind of as a card you have to think about while not really impacting like the actual constructed environment, which I think is cool. If more cards had random abilities like that, I think that draft gets more interesting and better and more skillful. So I like the card for that. Don't really see it seeing play anywhere else.
Agreed.
Zell, this is a one of our heroes for the set. He's a 4 cost with EX Burst, job seed candidate category 8. When he enters the field, choose any number of forwards. Divide 5,000 damage among them as you like. If you control 4 more category 8 characters, divide 9,000 instead. And on damage 3, he gains haste. Because I guess Zell has to have haste somehow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They always seem to stick that on there.
Let's go to the full art as well, so we're not looking at the border. We can
He's
appreciate.
a very sweaty boy. He's really working doing that. I'm assuming he's doing Final Heaven right now.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't notice until now. You can see the little inputs in the background here.
Yeah, that's cool. I just noticed that on the full art. That's really neat. That's a good touch.
So, as far as the card itself goes, like it's not bad. Like the burst does a lot of heavy lifting, but like in a category 8 deck,
Yeah.
9k damage shouldn't be that hard to get. You should be able to probably have like a backup, plus maybe like an Adia and a Squall, and then Zelda's 9k. The haste feels really disjointed to me. I don't really know what it is other than like Zell is kind of a boisterous guy and he has to have haste. I wish that like it was like an on attack trigger as well or something like that would kind of fit. But like I also don't mind not having an attack trigger because like FF8 has been so aggressively like pushed to be this aggressive deck for so long that like maybe just having a value card is better and maybe like that's what this is meant to
Hmm.
be and to push FF8 out of the like well I'm gonna like get 5 forwards in play on turn 3 and then like dull freeze your stuff with Quistis and then like if I don't win in that turn I die. So maybe this is just what the archetype needs, but I don't know. There's also just not a lot of reasons to be playing fire in category 8. It's like exactly the selfie legend, which like is a good card, but like not necessarily a reason to be in fire here. A lot of ways to cheat him into play, which maybe like you just cheat him into play. Sid Kramer color fixes, Squall plays him for free, New Squall plays him for free,
Hmm.
but I don't know. And it's very weird. You could divide the 5K. Like, what is the divide gonna do? Like, genuine question.
Yeah. Well, and on the 5K, it doesn't make as much sense. I can kind of see it with 9K, the idea of like, oh, there's two 8Ks on the field. I've pinged one for 7,000 with whatever effect my Orin blocking. I don't know. And then so Zell, okay, I'll put that one last 1,000 to finish him off, and then 8K to pick something else off. I think one thing they could have done instead of tying him to damage for no reason, they clearly want you to play it with category 8. Why not just tie the haste to the second effect? Hey, if you control 4 more, then he also gets haste as well, so he can come in, pop something, and come in and hit him. But yeah, I
Yeah,
kind of share your sentiments on him.
yeah. He seems okay. Like I said, I just don't know if this is like something I'm excited to sleeve up and play.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Uh, for a card that I might be excited to sleeve up and play, we have our other Fire Legend. This is Zeromus from Mobius in Category 4. He is a Lunarian. He is also card named Zemus in all situations. When one or more characters you control are chosen by your opponent's summoner ability, if your opponent does not pay 4, cancel its effects. I will let you start on this one.
Well, it's interesting that they're working crystals into this. And I guess that's kind of thematic. I guess the crystals are really tied to the heroes. So they have to either pay 4 CP or a crystal. Now, if you happen to run into that one deck playing crystals, or you'd mentioned with other cards, like, oh, it just happened to have crystals hanging around from those backups, that's going to feel really bad when they just go, oh, okay, crystal gone. Um, I like floodgate effects like this. I always have. this I won't lie, this doesn't feel like a very fire effect, so I kind of feel like he's in the wrong element. But nonetheless, my only concern, man, I wish he was 9K because the fact that they can go, okay, target this, oh, his effect triggers Amaterasu that, and this is dead anyway. Like the fact that they can Amaterasu the cancel. I mean, I've always hated that on any of these cards, but that's the only part about him I really don't like. Otherwise, I do think the card's cool.
Well, we can plainly see now this is the reason that Cecil got banned. By the way, we can just agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like imagine,
Man, could you imagine that? Tax that. Oh, and then tax that again. And like, you better have 8 Amaterasus, buddy, because
not to mention these category four. So if Cecil 16L played them, you'd activate two
yeah,
backups too.
Ghoul
Like,
cracked the case. Yeah, this is the real reason Cecil got banned.
uh, yeah, I some of two like four is so high. It might as well just say you're
Yes,
like it's so difficult to pay that.
that's a turn's worth of cards, right? That's 2 cards
Yeah,
from
it's two
hand.
cards, and like even if they do it and kill the Zeromus, like they trade it even with it. Like if they have to like target the Zeromus and do 8k damage to it,
Mm-hmm.
does die to Amaterasu again? That's I almost think there's like so many Amaterasu-able threats at this point that like that almost doesn't phase me at this point. It's like they're
Yeah,
gonna
that's fair.
Amaterasu something like but like sure. But the thing that like I still am a little worried about this card is your opponent could pay the crystal,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the crystal is not worth 4 CP.
yeah,
Just
absolutely.
there's a lot of decks that do just accidentally make crystals as well. The big one being knights. If you play this, and your opponent goes Ramza, Corella, and they just happen to hit a Lilith, they're gonna go, huh? I made a crystal. I'm
Oh, I
gonna
don't
just,
mind if I
I'm
do.
just gonna dull these four. I'm gonna take out the Zeromus. Pay four. I don't think I will. I think I'm gonna use this crystal that I have no use for in my deck. I think Knights players weren't even tracking the crystal previously. Like it just didn't
Yeah,
matter that they were getting the crystal. And that's a little bit worrying, but like, man, this guy, if you get locked under him, you're gonna get locked under him.
yeah, yeah. I wonder if there's some kind of like ice fire deck with this where like you get their hand low, so essentially they can't pay for it, and now your entire board is just protected from anything that targets.
Yeah, as long as they don't have that the Lilith.
Yeah, exactly.
The funny thing is, like I was talking about, it, like I know if I take this guy to World, I'm gonna hit the Knights player, and they're gonna hit the Lilith on it when
Hmm.
he's down. And I'm just gonna go, you got to be kidding me, man! That's just gonna be my luck, like guaranteed.
Yeah.
We have up next one of my favorite cards and the signature card of the set. First of all, gotta say, gorgeous art. This is like some of the best Terra has ever looked. But this is Terra. She is a Magic Knight from Category 6 with 5,000 power. When she enters the field, you reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, add up to 1 fire card and up to 1 wind or lightning card. And then when you cast a wind or lightning card, you can dull her, choose a forward, deal it 8,000 damage. So this to me, like it's a lot of really powerful text. Like if you think about what this is, it's 4 CP, dig 2, get at least 1 card. Like if you're
Yeah.
playing her, you almost have to be playing it in a deck that like you're gonna get 1 card. Maybe you try to play her in like a 4 color deck and she could whiff, but like I feel like it just isn't the thing. Like you're playing her probably in either a wind fire or a wind lightning or a wind fire lightning tricolor deck, right? And that second effect, like, if you think about what that is, 8,000 damage, that's a lot of damage. Like, that's a 3 CP, 4 CP summon on its own almost. And you have the chance for this card to be completely free that draws, your cards that comes in draws you 2 cards and then kills something. And that's not even technically once per turn. If you can activate her, you can do it multiple times, over the course of a turn if you're like really storming off. The big question is just like, is there a deck that really wants this? And like, I have no idea what the deck that plays this looks like because if you think about like, I think probably some of the most maligned color combinations have been Fire Wind and Fire Lightning historically.
Yeah.
It's just not a combination that really works. Um, and you have to be on enough like Fire and Wind or Lightning cards to make this like function. So what's playing this? I have no idea. Like outside, if you're not getting the Wind or Lightning card at your chance or getting the second ability, it's just a worse copy of like Opus whatever Marsh. It's like reveal 5 at a fire card, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
With a burst. Um, the I don't really like it in like a Fire Wind Storm deck just because I don't really think Fire Wind Storm does anything that like Mono Wind Storm doesn't already do. Like I guess you have Amaterasu, but that's you know I don't know that like a Storm deck really wants Amaterasu access. And Fire Lightning, I think, is like one of maybe the worst color combination in the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
you hit the nail on the head. Like it's a cool idea. I have no idea where it goes.
the only place that I look at this card and go like, this is a ready home for it is Cadets, but the Cadets decks that have done the best haven't played any Fire Cadets lately. They've only been
Right.
Wind Lightning. And there is some other support for this like Wind Fire Lightning wedge this set, and maybe this is enough to push it into it, but I don't know. This is one of those cards that I keep an eye on. I think it's going to be good eventually. Like they have to, they'll accidentally print a good Fire Wind or Fire Lightning deck, and then that when that happens, I imagine you'll play Terra. But yeah, keep an eye on her. I don't think this is the set for her though. Uh, Up next we have Bakul Jaja. This is from FF14. He's also a warrior. You know, didn't have enough of those. 8,000 power. When he enters the field or leaves the field, remove the top card of your deck. You can cast it anytime this game. Anytime you could normally cast it. Uh, I'll let you go on this one. I've started on the last couple. What do you think?
Sure. If he didn't have the job warrior, like I would find this very, very underwhelming. Even though like it's not a bad effect, but you're essentially just he's just a delay, right? You're playing a card to essentially delay two cards for whenever they are convenient for you, which isn't terrible. And the fact that they're removed from game means that your opponent can't interact with them. It's not like it puts them in the break zone or into your hand or anything, but still, like again, unless there's some way for the Warriors to abuse him, I'm just trying to think of what deck where I would want. I want a card that gives me potential access to a better thing later. I don't like. Wouldn't I want to just draw the card? That I don't know. Yeah, he just seems like a delay for no reason.
But like, there's not a lot. But like, you can always cast. Like, you play him. You remove the top card of your deck. You can always play that. When he dies, you get to do it again. Like, he does say draw two cards, kind of. Like,
Kind
granted,
of.
like if
Except
you
you can't pitch him for CP. Yeah. What if you get like a backup that you've already got on the field, or that you can't use it? That card's not going to do anything for you then.
so that's the. I mean, that's obviously the risk. I the thing that actually I don't like is I actually don't think the warrior text on him matters very much because the one problem is you're gonna remove like an axe star and it's like cool. I'm never playing that for the rest of the game now because I'm not gonna have the
Yeah.
ICP to actually cast it. Like this like doesn't play well with Tyvis. I do kind of like him though in like a mono fire control deck. Like you could like you get a couple backups down. Maybe you play him. You draw a card. You effectively draw a card. You're expecting the game to go long. You're trying to burn things out. Maybe you hit like an Ifrit or something. Now you're like doing more damage over time and more things to stall out.
Mhm.
When you play your, if you talk about like, oh well, I moved a backup that I already have. Well, you're going to try to play a Montleonis at some point anyway, or like an Ifrit, maybe or a Vincent. Like it's so easy to get rid of your backups in Mono Fire that like maybe
Yeah.
that's just like what you do instead, and that's like it's like okay there. It's like just enough value to be good. The Len Legend from 2 sets ago is one of my favorite cards in the game right now. Like I love that card. It's so good. And this effectively kind of gives you like two one-shot Lens that like doesn't have like the
Yeah.
other values. It's a lot more upfront cost though. Like Len's so good because she's so cheap, and this is a commitment. Like this is probably your turn when you play him. So I could see him as like a one of like a mono fire control list. Probably not more than that. Up next, we have the first of our monster cycle. I think this is maybe the worst monster cycle they've ever had. I don't think there's a single one of these that's very good. Fire Elemental from Sapfo. Elemental, when it enters the field, choose a forward, deal it 5,000 damage, one for each CP you put into the card. Don't worry, don't worry. That would be terrible. Clearly, we need to make it a little better. Fire, tap, sack, choose a forward, deal it 8K. Um,
Why?
one of maybe the worst monsters they've ever printed. Uh,
Yeah, it's so underwhelming.
I think it'll be okay in limited, but I would. I mean, it's not seeing any play anywhere else. Even in limited, she's probably a
Right.
pretty late draft pick. A little bit sad because actually, really, these enemies are like kind of cool in the game. But yeah, no, no, thank you. Yeah, this is like on the list. I think it was I forget who it was on Twitter, but they were having a list of like the worst monsters. They're like, this has got to be on the conversation, like next to like Ram and stuff. Don't worry, we've got
Yeah.
other contenders this set, by the way. um, Up next, we have Lunith. This is, first of all, some gorgeous art by Sarah Shimakobe. I love her art in this game. Uh, so, Lunith, Warrior of Light, Category 3. When he enters the field, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character of cost 3 or less, play it onto the field. And special is Minuet with S and Fire. All the forwards of cost 3 or less you control gain haste until the end of the turn. What do you think on here, on this one?
I mean, I've always liked cards that have a clear specialization. Hey, you want to build a deck around this, especially with that first trigger. Man, only revealing the top one. You better stack your deck with a bunch of 3 costs because you do not want to whiff. And if you have too many summons, or you could whiff on that as well. So obviously, pretty risky. I know I wouldn't. I'm not the type of player that would feel confident doing that. So yeah, I think he's fine. Is he going to replace something like Gigawall, which already plays characters for 3, and I don't know. Yeah, he just seems like a riskier version of that. I like his special too, although I do wish it just cost the S. Like I don't think it needed to cost the fire as well, given how specific it is. So it's a cool card. What deck exists to make him work? That I don't know.
Yeah, like even like the decks that like you would think like immediately come to mind like Gigawall, Magissa. Like I think of those decks, and I still think like Magissa still plays all of like the Ifrits and the
Hmm.
and such to like ping the Magissa, the Brynhilda to ping the Magissa. Magissa itself, other copies of Lunith, if you're running for the special, they'll just like fizzle that intro trigger as well. Like, cool,
Yeah.
like I played enough Rosa to know like reveal the top card of your deck does not give a lot of room for error.
Yeah.
But like even Gigawall runs 3 copies of Sarah FFL, 3 copies of Gigawall, 3 copies of the 4 cost Warrior of Light, 3 copies of Amaterasu, and it's like you start getting up there, and you kind of like how many non 3 cost characters do you see in the deck before you go, this is just like, would I play a coin flip card like this? And like,
Yeah.
and the payoff isn't like that crazy. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't really see it with Lunith, but again, the art is so good. Um,
Speaking of good art,
took the words right out of my mouth. This is General Leo from Pictologica in FF6. He's a captain, and when he enters the field, you may play a job standard unit forward of cost 5 or less from your hand on the field. And then for fire, you get to choose a forward, deal it 1,000 damage. Um, yeah, it plays nicely with Viper from this set, I guess. You can do the 3
right?
off the Viper, and then round up the damage a little bit and actually do something relevant. No chance to see any constructed play, though. We can go ahead and move on.
Every time they release a new category 6 card, I always get a moment of hope, and then I'm always let down, especially when it's. Oh, by the way, I would like to point out General Leo is a captain somehow. I don't know how that works. Granted, I've never been in the army, so maybe I'm not up to date on my army ranks, but something doesn't quite seem right there.
I think he's always been a captain. They're like
Is
he's a
he? I
captain.
thought he
Yeah.
was a general on his other cards.
No. Yeah, I think he's always been a captain because they kind of there's a couple of like captain synergy cards. There's like the Glauca from the starter deck and stuff that like searches for 2 captains of different names when he
Yeah.
dies. They
Oh,
kind of
I
just
guess
want
I
like
just always assumed he was a general.
yeah. I wonder if that's like one of those like translation things where it's like he's general in our language, but like the job for general and captain are pretty similar in Japanese or something, and it's
Oh yeah,
like
could
that's
be.
I could see that being a thing. Um, that's it for fire. Pretty interesting set of fire cards. I mean, both legends I think have a lot of interesting elements. I think Zeromus is by far the more
Yeah.
powerful of the two. Um, I think Ifrit the summon is really nice. It's a pretty okay set of fire stuff, but like to be fair, I don't think fire needs that much right now. Thankfully.
Hmm.
All right, stick around though. We will start on ice in the near future.
See you then.